Um, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to mute everybody. And we are going to start seated. So let's go ahead and sit maybe on a block or a blanket. And for this first one, I would encourage you to sit in Vajrasana or hero's pose. So if you're taking the blanket, you might start with your blanket like so, and then you'll fold it in thirds. There's Robin. Good morning, Robin. Um, and if you start off folding it in thirds, you can then roll it again in order to create some type of support underneath your butt. It just gives you a little bit more softness underneath you, and you can just sit on that. And if you're sitting on a block, you just sit on a block. If your knees are at all feeling anything, you might bring your hands to the backs of your calves, pull the muscles back and wide, and it just creates a little bit of space in the knees. You can also lift the knees one at a time and release any flesh from the front. Once you've got that established, I'd like you to just sit super tall, soften the gaze, or close your eyes completely. And then just notice what it feels like to really extend down through the sit bones, down towards the floor. And then as you continue to lengthen down through the sit bones, down through the spine, notice if you can find that reverberation that lifts up. And as you're sitting here for the first couple of breaths, you might notice that you want to take a little bit of a head circle. So maybe you drop one ear one direction or the other ear the other direction. Maybe you circle the neck. Maybe you just drop the chin to the chest and maybe lift the chin up towards the sky. But you're just taking a moment to notice what it feels like to be in the body. And as you start to check in with the body, start to notice what's happening in the breath. This week I've been very curious about how easy it is to disconnect from the physical body and just sort of get wrapped up in whatever our head is telling us. So we're just starting by allowing the head to create some movement and allowing that to bring our awareness back to the physical form that is actually attached to our head. And then when you're ready, go ahead and come to stillness with your head and just notice what it feels like to lift your shoulders up towards your ears and then drop the shoulders down towards the floor. And you'll do that a couple of times. You might pause at the top, really just squeezing the shoulder blades up towards the ears, and then play with what it feels like to slowly descend the shoulders versus what it feels like to just drop them. One will feel better than the other to you. Great. And then go ahead and come to stillness with that. And then you're going to draw your shoulders wide on your back so your shoulders round forward. And then you're going to pinch your shoulder blades together on your back so your shoulder blades widen and your chest opens. And you'll just take about, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those. And just again, feeling what this feels like, noticing how that connects in with the head, with the neck. Great. And then this might become circles. And so if you allow this to become circles, the shoulders might go forward, they might come up, they might go back, they might go down. And just feel what that feels like. If your hands are touching something, do the hands move? And after you've done about 4 circles one direction, go ahead and pause in the center and then switch directions. And again, you're just noticing, how does the head work with this? Is it still moving around? Is it not? It's totally okay either way. And once you're balanced between both sides, go ahead and come to stillness. And again, just take a couple of breaths here. Notice what this feels like. We're starting to remind ourselves that our physical forms, our physical bodies, are not just these things that carry our brains around. They're really an integrated part of us. And the more we can listen to them, the more we'll have a better chance of, I don't know, feeling good. On your next in breath, go ahead and extend your left arm all the way up to the sky. And again, as though you're Tom Cruise on the first Mission Impossible, I want you to reach all the way up through your left fingertips and start to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then root down into your left sit bone even more. Reach up through your left hand even more. Drop your right ear even more. Some of you will just stay right here. This is a happy place to stay. Some of you might walk your right hand a little bit to the right. Pressing down into your right hand, you're going to root down into your left hip and then maybe reach your left arm alongside your left ear. And as you do this, you might notice that the side body stretch becomes more intense as you're rooting down through your left hip, reaching your left fingers to the right and pushing down into your right hand. On your next in-breath, go ahead and reach up, come back through center, and just lower the left hand. Take a moment to notice if you notice anything between the right and the left side. If you need to circle the shoulders, by all means, go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready, we'll try the other side. So the right arm reaches all the way up, and you're going to keep extending up through the right arm as you root down through the right sit bone, and then start to drop your left ear towards the left, and then reach up through the right hand even more. Root down through the right hip even more, drop the left ear even more. And some of you might stay here, or you might choose to walk your left hand a little bit to the left and then start to reach your right hand up and over your head towards the left. And again, we're still rooting down into our right hip. We're allowing the left shoulder, left ear to drop. On your next in-breath, go ahead and reach back up through the right arm, come back up through center. And then we're going to take a moment to just, again, notice what you notice. If you need to circle the shoulders, you circle the shoulders. If you don't, you don't. Great. Let's go ahead and shift forward onto hands and knees. When you come forward onto hands and knees, take your blocks and put them towards the upper outer corners of your space. If your knees are sensitive and you want to pad them, by all means, pad them. But once you find yourself on hands and knees, we're just going to take a couple of moments to just be an organic movement. So you might create some circles just with the ribs going over the shoulders, over the hips, and just noticing what that feels like, letting the head get in on the action if it wants, letting the rib cage get in and round and extend, and just feeling what that feels like. And then if you have been circling, go ahead and pause and center, and then switch the direction of your circles. And again, we're just paying attention to what this feels like. There's no need to really worry about anything other than how the breath is moving through the body, how the muscles are reacting, how the joints are reacting. You're just paying attention to how it feels in the body. And then come back to center, and then just take a standard cat and cow. And again, you're just going to notice what it feels like, finding the inhalation as the belly drops, finding the exhalation as the belly lifts and the tail drops. And just explore what that feels like. Some of you will continue doing this just as you are. Some of you might want to take a momentary pause and play with flipping your wrists. So maybe the palm faces the sky and you find a gentle stretch of one wrist and then perhaps the other. But again, we're just checking in. How does the body feel? I think one of the fun things that I'm discovering about myself recently is that even though we can learn lots of ways to be efficient, sometimes it can take us out of the most primal aspects, the most innate aspects of our being. So as you're here for these last couple of breaths, just notice what your body is asking for. It might not make logical sense, but it might make intuitive sense. So you just notice that and then respond. And once you feel complete with your little exploration, let's go ahead and come to a neutral spine. Step your right foot back, curl the toes under. Step your left foot back, curl the toes under, and suddenly we found ourselves in plank. Fantastic. Now in this plank, let's just take a couple of moments to just push down through the L shape of our hands. Lift the back of your head just a smidge. There you go. Yep. And then reach your sternum forward and your tailbone back. As you exhale, go ahead and bend your knees and start to lift your pelvis up to where the wall and the ceiling meet. And again, keep pressing down and forward into your hands and feel what your shoulder blades feel like here. Slowly bend just your right leg and notice what happens in the back of your left calf, what's happening in your left hip. Awesome. Gently come back through center and then switch sides, gently bending the left leg. Noticing what's happening in your right leg, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then you'll inhale and come through center. And if you want to try that one more time, great. If you want to play with maybe just shifting your hips a little right to left, great. But you're just paying attention. What does the body say it needs? What does it feel? And then once you're complete with your exploration, go ahead and come to stillness. And you'll start to walk your feet all the way to the top of your space and find yourself in a forward fold. Now, a couple of you mentioned that you were having lower back stuff today. So let's make sure our feet are at least hip distance apart. And then for today, I'd like you to grab opposite elbow. Awesome. And then as you're here, notice what happens if you bring your right hand into your left elbow crease and gently just pull down. So right hand gently pulling down on your left elbow crease. Yeah. And very gently you'll release that and then switch hands. So now your left hand is gently pulling down on your right elbow crease. And again, you're just noticing how heavy is your head, how long are your legs. If you're happy with this, stay here. Otherwise, you might release your hands to the floor. And then you might gently just bend one knee and then the other. You can also put your hands on your blocks if the floor feels too far away. But you just pause and you breathe. You notice what it feels like to be here. Great. Okay. Let's go ahead and come to stillness. Bend your knees as much as you want to. You're going to slowly roll up your spine vertebra by vertebra. Let your head be the last thing to come up to stand. Nice. And when you find yourself vertical, just take a moment. Do you need to roll the shoulders again? What does it feel like to keep the chest open, the spine long? And then as you're ready, we're going to go back down. So we're going to do 4 of these today. So you're going to tuck your chin to your chest and you're going to let your head be like a bowling ball and it's going to slowly roll down. And as you roll down, you're going bone by bone. You might find some spots where you just want to stay for a couple of breaths and breathe. And if you do, by all means, stay and breathe. And then when you get to the bottom, you'll just notice what it feels like again to let your head be super heavy. And then you'll bend your knees as much as you want to. And starting from your tailbone, roll all the way up the spine. And again, you're just taking your time. If there's a spot where you wish to hang out and breathe, hang out and breathe. And we've got 4 of these. So you do this at your own pace. This comes from Susan Klein and Barbara Mahler. And believe it or not, when I was in my 20s, we spent a lot of time doing this every day. Spend an hour and a half rolling up and down the spine. And so you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. You might notice that as you're going down, you feel one side of your back a little bit more than the other. You might notice that when you get down to the bottom, you feel the weight more on the fronts of the feet or the backs of the feet. And it doesn't have to look a particular way. We're just trying to warm up the fascia because I'm going to make you do a plank pose a little later. And this is a very efficient way to do that. So you're just pausing and breathing. Nice job. All right, the next time you stand, let's go ahead and stay up. Once you're vertical, just again, take a moment to feel what it feels like to have your feet rooted, to have the spine long. Next in-breath, arms reach out to the side, palms face forward. As you exhale, your thumbs are going to start to spin forward and then down and then back behind you, and then your upper back is going to round. As you inhale, the pinky finger spins back, down, forward, and up, and then your gaze will lift. And we've got about 3 of these. So next, exhale, thumbs spin forward and then back, upper back rounds. And then as you inhale, the pinky spins forward and comes up. And you might find that you even want to make a little V with your hands. I've got about 2 more. And so you're just pausing and you're breathing. This is really articulating from your fingers. So if you can find that, I'm tricking your shoulder blades into doing a bit of work. And so we're really playing with the finger, the thumb, and the pinky finger. Okay, the next time your pinky finger spins up, we're going to pause here. So reaching out through the pinkies, reach so far out that they start to reach up and overhead. And you'll notice that as they do, the shoulder blades come onto your back body. Feel that root down from your sit bones to your heels, lift up through your sternum, reach up through your pinkies. Next, exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold, taking your time to come all the way down. Once your fingers touch the shins or the blocks or the floor, you'll then inhale and halfway lift. And we're going to pause here for a moment. I want you to shift your weight forward enough so that you feel the backs of your legs come online now. And then lightly press your fingertips into your shins and then reach your sternum forward, reach the center of your skull forward as you reach your pubic bone back. Nice work. Next, exhale, fold all the way in. Bring your hands to your blocks, bend both of your knees, and step just your left foot long and back. And so we're going to find our left foot in a long, low lunge. Our hands are on our blocks. And this first one, I want you to, again, just stay here. If you're happy as a clam here, stay here. If you want to move a little bit, move. So you might bend and straighten that front leg. You might take little circles with the hips. You might do none of the above, but you're just checking in. What is the body telling you right now? How is it responding to this movement? How is the breath responding to this movement? All right, let's go ahead and come to stillness. You're going to step your back foot in and spin it down for warrior two legs. Now, we haven't done a lot, so this is going to be pretty intense. Now, you're going to bring your block underneath your right hand, perhaps up a tick, and step it back so it's underneath your shoulder, and then straighten your front leg. That's your right leg. Bring your left hand to your sacrum. And then from here, you're going to push down through your back foot. That's your left foot. Push down into your front foot. That's your right foot. Push down into your right hand and start to roll your rib cage towards the left. As you roll your rib cage to the left, I want you to push down into the right hand even more. See if you can then draw your left shoulder blade onto your back body. And again, hug your feet together. Some of you will stay right here, happy as a clam. Some of you might reach your left arm up towards your sky. And hello, we found ourselves in Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. And you just take a moment to pause and breathe here. If you're happy, stay here. If you'd like a little bit more stretch, you'll turn your left palm to face the top of your space and then reach your left arm alongside your left ear. And we'll find this fun stretch going from our left pinky finger all the way through our ribs, all the way down to our hip. And you just pause and you breathe and you're like, wow, what's happening in my body? Next in-breath, the left arm comes back up to the sky. As you exhale, left hand comes to left hip. Turn your gaze to the floor. Bring your left hand to your block or floor. Square your hips to the floor and then go ahead and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Now, once you find yourself in down dog, I want you to notice how this down dog feels in comparison to the previous one. You should feel perhaps a difference between the right side and the left side. As you inhale, roll your pelvis forward into plank. And as you exhale, bend your knees and lift your pelvis back up, downward facing dog. You've got 3 of these. And so we're just rolling from our tail to our crown, trying to find that articulation through the spine that we found just a little while ago, while tricking ourselves into doing some core work. Okay, so that's 2. Let's do 2 more. Yep. And then this next one, when you come forward into plank, you'll just stay there for a couple of breaths. Nice work. Now, some of you will just stay here in stillness. Some of you might want to create little circles here. So if you do, you might just roll a little bit, making a little circle around your wrist. And if you do that, be sure to go the other direction. I notice this more in my ankles and in my shoulders, but that's a side note. And then go ahead and come to center. Shift your weight forward and lower slower than you want to, all the way down onto your abdomen. Great. When you find yourself on your belly, extend the tops of your feet long against the floor. And then from here, let's just lightly push down into our hands, pull our heart forward, draw our shoulder blades onto our back, and lift to a baby cobra. And you'll just notice what this feels like. Nice little gentle cobra. Great. Go ahead and exhale, lower down. We're going to do that one more time. So inhale, pull your heart forward, press your pubic bone down, reach your feet back, sternum and crown lift. Awesome. Stay here this time. Take your arms and extend them out to the right and to the left like little airplane wings. Awesome. Now from here, so they're more like a T shape. Sorry, Julie. There we go. And from here, let's go ahead and just lift our hands 1 inch off of the floor. And then as you exhale, lower them back down. Go ahead and step your left hand underneath your left shoulder and then start to roll to your right. Now, as you roll to the right, let's push down into our right hand. Let's pull our right hand isometrically so it doesn't move towards our left hand, and then play with whether or not you want to step your left foot behind you as you stack your left hip on top of your right. Notice if you want to lift your head up and away from the floor or leave it as it is, but just pause and breathe. On your next in-breath, you'll gently release and come back onto your belly. Take a moment to pause here. Extend your left arm back out to the left. And this is a slight variation. So this time you're going to inhale and lift your head, and then see if you can squeeze your shoulder blades and lift your arms and just find what that feels like. Fantastic. Slight variation. This time the right hand is going to step underneath the right shoulder. Then you'll put down the left hand and roll to the left all at the same time. And again, you just notice what it feels like. We're pressing into the left hand, isometrically drawing it towards the right, maybe lifting your head away from the floor and leaning back, maybe not. Awesome. Next in-breath, go ahead and come back to center, back to our abdomen. Extend the right arm out to the right. Inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, hug the shoulder blades together, and then lift the arms. Fantastic. Bend both elbows, plant the hands underneath your shoulders, and then lower all the way down. Inhale through hands and knees, and then exhale back to downward facing dog. And now when you come to down dog this time, just observe, notice what you notice. How does the body feel? How does the breath feel? Great. When you're ready, start to walk your feet towards your hands. And so you'll come to the top of your space once again. Sorry, Sandy. There we go. Once you're at the top of your space, again, feet hip distance apart. Inhale here and exhale here. Go ahead and bend the knees as much as you want to, and slower than you want to, roll all the way up to spine, or all the way up to stand, letting the head be the last thing to come on top of your spine. Great. Once you find yourself vertical again, if you need to circle the shoulders, circle the shoulders. But then we'll go back to that hand thing we did before. So next in-breath, arms reach out towards the right and to the left. As you exhale, the thumb spins forward, down, and back. And then as you inhale, the pinky fingers spin out. They spin forward and they spin up. And we've just got 2 of these. And you're really trying to find how, if you start by going from the extremities, so the fingertips, how that moves through the arm, how that moves through the shoulder joint. Okay, and this is our last one. Okay, the next time your pinky fingers spin forward and up, you'll keep reaching them out and up and overhead. And again, feeling that sense of connection that's coming onto your back body, root down through your feet. This time you might take a little bit of a back bend by lifting your sternum a little bit more, lifting your gaze a little bit more. Nice job. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Taking your time, you'll slowly lift to halfway lift. So sliding hands onto blocks or shins. And we'll just take, again, a moment to pause here. Shift your weight forward so you feel the backs of your legs come online. Against that, hinge at your hips a little bit more so it feels like you send your pubic bone back. You're articulating the pelvis over the heads of the thigh bones. And then lightly press fingertips into shin bones, shins into fingertips. Extend your crown out by maybe hugging the shoulder blades onto your back body. Nice work. As you exhale, fold in, bring your hands to your blocks, bend your knees, and this time you're going to step your opposite leg, so your right leg long and back. Now, when your right leg comes long and back, you might pause here again, or you might shift a little bit right to left, feeling how that feels. You might create little circles in this long, low lunge, but you're just paying attention to how that works for you. Awesome. And then let's go ahead and come to stillness. Step your back foot in quite a bit for warrior two. Spin the back foot down so what's the word I want? It intersects your back or your front heel, and then you're going to turn your block underneath your left hand up a bit. Bring your right hand to your sacrum, and then you'll start to push down into your back heel, push down into your front heel, push down into your left hand, and roll your rib cage to the right. Once your rib cages come to the right, again, you're going to push down into the feet. Push down a lot into your left hand. You might stay here and just draw the right shoulder blade onto your back. You might reach your right shoulder or right hand up towards the sky for Utthita Trikonasana. If you're happy here, stay here. Otherwise, turn your palm to face your head and then reach your right arm alongside your right ear for a long side body stretch. And you just pause and you breathe. And again, you check in what's happening in the physical form. I think one of the fun things about paying attention to our body is it always keeps us present. So just notice what's happening here. Next in breath, the right arm will come back up. Bring your right hand back to your right hip. Turn your gaze down to the floor. Square your hips to the floor. Pivot to the ball of your back foot, and then go ahead and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Once you find yourself in down dog, just notice what you notice between the right side as opposed to the left side. And then inhale, roll yourself forward into plank pose. Once you find yourself in plank this time, we are going to try those little circles. So if you didn't on the first set, no worries. If you did, no worries. But you're just going to take two little circles one direction. And you're just noticing what that feels like in the shoulders and the core and the ankles and the hips, and then two little circles the other direction. Nice job. All right. Go ahead and come back to center, come back to stillness, shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, lower everything to the floor. Great. Cool. Now this time when you come into your belly, again, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, isometrically push down and pull back on your hands as you reach your sternum and heart forward and through. And notice how your cobra feels this time. Next exhale, you're going to lower all the way down. Now this is going to be weird, so I'm not going to lie. Keep your left hand as it is. Bring your right hand onto your sacrum. You want your right thumb to face towards the right, your fingertips to point back towards your toes. And now you're going to roll to the right. So your right elbow is bent and you're rolling onto a bent elbow. Yep. And then you're going to push your hand into your sacrum and maybe step your left foot behind you. And you just pause and you breathe here. And you notice what this sensation feels like. We're trying to open the front of our chest a little bit. And so you might need to lift your head away from the floor and lean back. Very gently, you'll release that. You'll come back onto your bellies. You'll replant your right hand underneath your left or right shoulder. And then we're going to take a little cobra here again. So just lift the chest. See what that feels like. And exhale, lower down. Now bring your left hand to your sacrum. Again, fingers point back towards your toes. Left thumb faces out to the left. Push into your right hand to roll onto your left shoulder. And I feel this more in my palm, really in the wrist, than I do in the shoulder. But Rodney says this is a great shoulder opener. So we're going to pause and breathe and just notice how you feel here. And on your next in-breath, you'll gently come back onto your belly. When you come onto your belly, bring your hands underneath your forehead for heads up, 7-up style, and just take a moment to pause there. Then bend your right knee, reach around with your right hand and grab your right foot. And you just pause here. Notice what this feels like, really lengthening your tailbone down towards your left foot. Really seeing if you can pull the right heel towards the right pelvis, the right side of the pelvis. Very gently release the right hand, release the right foot, and then switch sides. So bend the left knee, grab the left foot with your left hand. Again, continue to lengthen your tailbone down towards your right foot, right pinky toes press down into the mat. Nice work. When you're ready, gently release that. Bring both hands again right underneath your shoulders. This time we're going to push down isometrically, draw your shoulder blades together on your back, and lift your ears in line with your shoulders. I want you to see if you can squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back body to see if you can lift your head just a little bit more. And then root down into your pubic bone and see if you can hug the shoulder blades together just a little bit more. Great. From there, just walk your elbows forward and come into a Sphinx pose. Awesome. Now, when you're here in Sphinx, isometrically pull your hands back, pull your heart and sternum forward, and lengthen up through the crown of your head. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will take your right hand to the left hand, bend your left knee, reach around with your left hand to grab your left foot. Now, you might either just keep your fingertips facing back towards your knee or spin your fingertips forward in alignment with your toes. But wherever you are, you're pushing down into your right foot. That's the long leg behind you. You are lengthening down through the tailbone, maybe rooting your pubic bone down into the mat as you bend into that left knee. Great. Very gently, if you're holding all of that, you release the left foot. You find the number 11 with your forearms, and then you take your left hand over to the right hand. You bend the right knee. You take the right hand to grab the top of your right foot. And again, we're really pushing down. So pushing down into left hand, pushing down into left foot. Maybe right fingertips face forward. Maybe they face back. But in either case, we're just pausing and breathing. Nice work. Very gently release that. Come back to Sphinx. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you might want to try to just lightly push into your feet, lightly push into your pubic bone, and maybe lightly push into your hands and find what in yin pose we call a bit of a baby seal. And you just pause and breathe and notice how that feels. If you did that, lower the elbows back down, lower the chest back down, bring your hands alongside your ribs. So before we go further there, again, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, draw the shoulder blades together on the back, lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. And this time I want you to hug the shoulder blades even closer together on the back, draw the elbows back, hover your hands, and then lift up through your inner thighs until your legs come up and away from the floor. And we'll breathe here for 3. We'll breathe here for 2. We'll breathe here for 1. Lower all the way down. Inhale through hands and knees. And now this time you might want to take a rest in child's pose, or you might want to go directly to downward facing dog. You choose, but you're doing it based upon what your body is telling you it needs, how it's feeling, and responding accordingly. And those in down dog, we've got about 6 breath cycles here. Those in child's pose, we've got about 3 breath cycles. So once you're done with child's pose, you'll make your way to downward facing dog and just notice what that feels like for you. Okay, and those of us that are in down dog, Roberta, press a little bit more through the L shape of your hands. Yep. And then keep that energy coming up into your shoulders. And then send that up through the waist and up through the hips. Yeah. All right. From here, let's go ahead and inhale. As you exhale, bend your knees and walk to the top of your space. You can get there however you wish to. Once you get to the top of your space, go ahead and separate your feet about hip distance apart. You might bring your hands onto your blocks at this point or not, it's up to you. But you're just going to take 4 little bends of your knees and 4 little straightens of your legs. So just noticing what that feels like to bend and straighten your legs. And you bend them as much as you want to. Ideally, we're just trying to feel what's happening in the ankle joint. We're trying to feel what's happening in the knee joint. And ideally trying to keep our heels as rooted onto the floor as possible. I mean, you can go all the way down here, but you may not need to do all that. Okay, after you've done 4, let's go ahead and come to center, come to stillness. And then we're gonna go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. Once we find ourselves in our halfway lift again, we want to find that energy of the shin bones really kind of pushing forward so we feel the backs of our legs come online. And then we're going to send our pubic bone back behind us so we nutate at the pelvis. And then fingers push into shin, shins push into fingers. Draw your hands to your hips. Fantastic. Draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Your sternum reaches forward. Your crown reaches forward. Next in breath, start to bend your knees again. And this time we're going to sit for Utkatasana, chair pose. So you might keep your hands here. You might reach your arms forward. It's totally up to you, but you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to pause and you're going to breathe. On your next in breath, go ahead and root down through the legs, reach up through the fingers, maybe look up to the sky. And exhale, let the arms soften out to the sides and down towards your hips. And again, take a moment to soften the gaze, close the eyes, notice what you notice. Okay, let's move on. Inhale, arms open out to the right and to the left again. This time as you exhale, thumbs spin forward, down, and back. And we're going to pause here. I want you to imagine that for some reason you're the Hulk and you're going to start to squeeze and condense all the air behind you until your hands start to come to about a foot apart from one another. So you're squeezing that air, you're drawing your shoulders back behind you, and your hands are going to come to about apart away from each other. Now you'll notice that once you do this, your weight has probably shifted on your feet. So make sure that's still in place. Keep isometrically hugging that empty space behind you. Let your head be heavy. On your next in-breath, the hands are going to reach so far back that they have to go down and your head has to come up. And just notice what that feels like to have that amount of lift in your upper chest. Great. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms out and up and overhead. And then as you exhale, hinge forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. From here, again, inhale, halfway lift, noticing what that feels like. As you exhale this time, we're going to bend our knees, plant our hands on our blocks, and step our right leg long and back. Now at this point, some of us might want to put our blanket underneath our back knee. Some of you may decide not to do that. It's totally up to you. Wherever you are, you're going to start to push into your left foot. You're going to start to push into your right knee, and you're going to start to walk your hands up the center of your front thigh. Now, again, as always, we push down into our points of contact and we hug them together. And we're going to see if for today we can draw our front ribs into our back body just a little bit, and then reach your right arm forward and up and overhead. Now, once you're here, you might just stay here, isometrically working the legs, finding that stretch happening on your right side body. Some of you might want to take a little happy baby side bend over towards the left. And it's, again, still that same Tom Cruise moment. So you're reaching up through the right hand. You're letting the left ear drop to the left. And then once you found that, then you intensify it by adding the right arm alongside your ear. And you pause and you breathe and your front ribs are drawing back and you're pushing into your legs for dear life. Nice job. Next in breath, go ahead and come up to vertical. Now from here, release the right hand down. Some of you might want to shift your weight forward just a little bit for a moment. You might need to reposition your back knee. As you bend your back knee, take your right hand and grab the outside edge of your right foot. From there, you might stay here. Otherwise, you might bring your left hand onto the belly of your left thigh once again. Push down into your left foot. Push down into your right knee. Hug those points together. Now check in with that right shoulder. Draw the shoulder blade up towards the ear. Draw the shoulder blade together onto the back. And almost like we did when we were hugging isometrically in with our imaginary block behind us, you're really hugging that right shoulder blade in. And then see if you can hug the left shoulder blade in to match it. Some of you will stay here. Some of you might have the desire to want to bring that left hand back. I don't always want to do that, but sometimes it feels nice and you just pause and you breathe. If you're holding that foot, gently release your hands, gently release the foot, and then bring your hands to the blocks in front of you. Now from here, you're going to shift your weight back and straighten your front leg long. You might need to slide your left leg forward. And once you've done that, we want to make sure the weight still stays, or rather our right hip stays over our right knee. Flex through your left foot and draw all 5 toes back towards your face. Now, again, like we did in that halfway lift, send your pubic bone back and your sternum forward. And you might stay right here. You might externally rotate that front leg. So you might spin on your left heel, turning your left toes to the left. And oh, are you breathing? How's the body? How's the breath? How are you? We're much more than the thoughts that sometimes come through our heads. We're much more than our plans or ambitions. We are this integrated body of nerve cells. So you're just pausing and you're breathing. Okay. If you externally rotated that left leg, turn the leg back to neutral. Go ahead and shift the weight forward, bend the front knee, plant the foot on the floor, bring your hands to your mat and step yourself back to downward facing dog. Now I want you to pause here and just notice if you notice anything different in your down dog. Specifically, what do you notice across the front of your right hip as opposed to your left hip? How does that integrate into your back on the left side and the right side? Nice job. Next in breath, roll yourself forward into plank. As you exhale, shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, lower all the way down. Okay, your choice. You might come into a cobra. You might decide that you want to hover the hands and float them back and find an upward facing dog. But you just take a moment to pause and you breathe and you notice what it feels like for you in this moment. Great. And then once you're done with your back bend, lower down, plant your hands, tuck the toes, and then inhale either through hands and knees or plank pose and make your way back to downward facing dog. And again, you just pause and you breathe. What are you experiencing in this moment? I think it can become easy to regret things if we judge, evaluate, whatever, our present moment with our expectations of how we thought things should have been when we get caught up in the mind versus just really enjoying the pleasantries of whatever is happening here. What are the joys of being in your body right now? What feels super awesome? What feels spacious and open and full of ease? And then when you're ready, you'll start to make your way to the top of your mat, forward fold. Okay. Once you find yourself in that Uttanasana forward fold, again, let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Find that energizing action of the legs, the lengthening of the crown. Next exhale, fold all the way in. Now we're going to take it from our depth. So inhale, bend your knees, sit your butt low, sweep your arms forward and perhaps up. Utkatasana, chair pose. And again, you just take a moment to pause and you take a moment to breathe, reaching out through your pinky fingers, feeling how that connects into the shoulder blades and lifts the chest. Next in breath, stand up, reach up, perhaps you look up. And then exhale, open the arms out to the side and down towards your floor. Take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes. You might circle the shoulders here or not, but again, just notice what you're feeling. Okay. Let's move on. Well, sort of. Inhale, reach your arms out to the right and to the left. Again, turn your thumbs forward, down, and back. And now this time I want you to really energize the fingers first, energize those palms. Imagine that you are pushing into a wall so you feel all the muscles around the arms start to engage. Keep that. Lengthen your tailbone down, and then again, compress the space behind you. So you're isometrically, well, not really, this is more of an eccentric contraction, but you're drawing your hands back behind you, really hugging into that invisible space, letting your head be super duper 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 heavy. And then for some reason, imagine I brought my thumbs to your armpit creases. So I'm drawing your armpit creases up, and then you use that lift to draw your hands down, back, and up. And now your chest is a little bit higher when you come back up to stand. Great. Inhale, reach the arms out. Again, pinky fingers are leading the way, out and up and overhead. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. From here, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, and step your left leg long and back. Again, you might want to pad your back knee with a blanket. If so, great. If not, no worries. And then lower your back knee down. From here, you'll walk your hands up the center of your front thigh. And same as general. So push down into front foot, push down into back knee, hug those points together. And then you might bring this time your right hand to the front of your ribs just to make sure that your lowest ribs aren't flaring. And then reach your left arm up and overhead. And keeping that, you might notice more of a stretch on the front of your quad. And if so, fantastic. If not, fantastic. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will, again, try that Tom Cruise thing. So you'll reach up through your left arm. You'll start to drop your right ear. You'll reach up through your left arm. You'll start to drop your right ear. You'll reach up through your left arm. You'll drop your left ear or right ear. And you might stay here, or you might reach your left arm over to the right. And again, front ribs are pulling back. You're breathing and you're noticing what's happening here. You okay there? Okay, next in breath, go ahead and come back up through center. As you exhale, again, our hands are going to come down perhaps to the blocks. You might need to reposition your back knee. So if you need to do that, by all means, do that. And then you're going to bend your back knee with your left hand, grab the outside edge of your left foot. And you might stay here. You might start to walk your right hand up to the belly of your right thigh. Again, push down into front foot, push down into back knee, suck those points together. And then again, draw the left shoulder up, the left shoulder blade onto the back, compressing space with the shoulder blades. And again, you might stay here, happy as a clam. You might wish to take the extra challenge in terms of balance of drawing that right hand back, but not always necessary. You're just pausing and breathing. If you're holding on to your foot with both hands, release the right hand, release the left hand, and then bring the foot gently to the floor, hands to the blocks. Go ahead and shift your weight back, and you might need to slide your right foot forward. Now, as the right foot comes forward, the blocks might need to come back. And we want to make sure our left hip stays aligned over our left knee. And then flex through your right foot, draw all toes back towards your face. And then again, find that hinge at your hip. So it feels like your pubic bone tips back, your sternum reaches forward. And you might stay here, or you might externally rotate your front foot. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what that feels like. And you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. And let your heart still be forward and your chest be open. Yeah. Great. If the leg is externally rotated, draw it back to neutral. Go ahead and bend the front knee, plant the sole of the foot, plant the palms, and step yourself back to downward facing dog. And as you go back to down dog, notice what you notice this time. See if you can lift your ears in line with your arms so your head isn't careening to the floor unnecessarily. And then when you're ready, let's inhale and roll ourselves forward into plank. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. And inhale into your upward facing dog or cobra. Great. Next exhale. You might go back to downward facing dog, or you might take a couple breath cycles in child's pose. It's totally up to you. Totally up to you. Those in child's pose, you've got about 3 breaths. Those in down dog, you've got about 6. You just pause and you breathe. Okay, if you're in child's pose, you might want to start to make your way back to down dog. And then from down dog, we're going to take ourselves to the top of our space. So you might walk there, you might float there. You get however you want to get there. Awesome. And then from your Uttanasana, slowly roll up the spine bone by bone, letting the head be the very last thing to come up to stand. And just noticing how that feels now. Yeah, nice work. And once you're vertical, again, just take a moment to settle. If you need to circle the shoulders, you circle the shoulders. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and do a couple of setup things. So first thing is we're gonna put our blocks on the lowest setting with about a foot between them so that we can step in between our blocks. And I guess I shouldn't say a foot. Enough space between your blocks where you can step between your blocks. Cool. And then you're gonna step just behind your box momentarily. And I want you to lift just one heel and then lift the other. So just pedaling through your feet like you're wearing high heels, and you might choose to stay or switch the feet at the top of the releve or just keep the feet down and switch it at the bottom. It just is up to you. Okay, awesome. Once you're balanced between the sides, go ahead and come to stillness. Lift your left leg up and you might circle the left ankle. You might circle the left knee. Now, if you've started circling the knee, the bigger you make the circle, the more challenging this is for your core. So you make that as big as you want. And then if you've gone one direction, go ahead and go the other direction. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Ha, ha, ha. Do, do, do. Okay, the last one. Then gently release that. Take a moment to have your weight evenly balanced and just notice what you feel between the sides. And then we'll try that on the other side. So you'll lift your right leg and you might just circle the ankle. If you do that, I didn't mention on the other side, but make sure you go both directions. You might decide you want to circle your knee, and your knee might just be really small and it might stay in the front. Your knee might start to get really big. And the bigger that it gets, the more challenging this is for your core. So you choose whatever you want to do here, but you're doing it based upon how it feels, not what you think is better. And if you've gone one direction, please make sure you go the other way. Yep. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and release that. Come to center. And then we'll step back in between our blocks. Lift your left leg up. Your left leg, you're going to cross it all the way over and put your left foot on the block. And then, like a little child that has to pee but doesn't want to tell you that, you're going to bend your knees super duper deep. And you might stay here. This is a great place to stay. You might open your arms out like a bird, and you might give yourself a hug. And that's a great place to stay too. You might decide to bring the backs of your palms to touch. That's fantastic. You might bring the fronts of your palms to touch. That's fantastic too. Wherever you are is great. And then if you're here and we're pretending like we're little kids that have to go potty, you're going to keep bending your knees even more. And you're going to let your knees go a little bit to the right. And then you might release your left foot behind the back of your right calf. And then try to re-square your shoulders and your hips towards the top of your space. And you pause and you breathe. Nice work. And then when you're ready to come out, you release the left foot first. It comes back to your perch. You release your hands. You release the leg. And you just notice what that feels like. I'm going to go ahead and step back behind your blocks. And we'll try all that again. So hands on your hips. Your left leg is going to step forward first. Your right leg is going to float up. And then you're going to cross your right leg all the way over so you can put your right foot on your block. And again, you might just stay here and bend the knees a little bit and feel how this feels. You might open your arms out to the right and to the left. You might give yourself a hug. Make sure it's the opposite arm. So generally it should be the right arm underneath, left arm on top. You might bring the backs of the palms to touch. You might bring the fronts of the palms to touch. You might still turn more to the left to release the right foot to the back of your left calf, and then re-square everything towards the top of your space. And again, you pause and you breathe. Nice work. When you're ready to come out, you release the right foot to the perch. You release your hands to your hips. You unwind the legs, and you take a moment to wiggle that all out. Cool. All right. That wasn't too bad. Let's move on. So, standing at the top of your space, go ahead and inhale, reach your arms out and up and overhead. And then as you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Once you find yourself there, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step yourself back to downward facing dog. Your choice in terms of whether or not you want to cycle through an up dog or cobra, but we're all going to meet back in a down dog for just a couple of breaths before we do 2 more things. So you choose what works for you. Awesome sauce. From down dog, go ahead and lower your knees to the mat and sit on top of your heels. Okay, so we might want to pad our knees with our blanket. So you'll take your blanket and unfold it like so. And then you'll just put your shins on it. It's encouraged to walk forward so that your kneecaps drip off the blanket so that there's a bit of space for them. But you don't necessarily need to do that if it doesn't feel good to you. Again, we're listening to what our bodies feel like. And then you might bring both of your blocks in front of you. Cool. From here, let's go ahead and stand on top of our shins. You're going to take your right foot out to the right. And we want our right foot to be a little bit in front of our left knee rather, I guess I should say. And then you'll externally rotate that leg. So it's kind of like we've got triangle legs. Now our blocks are here. If you feel like you would want to block, you'll put one to the outside edge or maybe the inside edge of your right leg. It depends again on how much external rotation you have in your hips. From here, right hand comes to right hip. Left arm is going to reach up. So again, we're going to do our Tom Cruise. You're going to reach up through your left arm. You're going to root down through your left knee, up through the left arm, down through the left knee. Let your right ear start to trickle to the right. Now, we might walk our right hand down our right shin, or we might bring our right hand to our block. Wherever you are, if you've got your shin, you're going to lightly push your right fingers into your right shin and roll your rib cage forward. And then you might stay there, or you might reach the left arm alongside your ears. Now, if you do that, that's going to intensify the side body stretch quite a bit. So you pay attention to what's working for you in this Parigasana gate pose. Great. When you're ready to come out, left arm comes up. Go ahead and bring your hands to your hips. Bend your right knee. So you might need to slide the foot back a little bit. And then step the right foot next to the left. And we'll try all that on the other side. So hands to hips. Left leg out to the left. We've externally rotated that left leg, and our left heel is slightly in front of our right knee. If you need that block, the block will come most likely to the outside edge of your left leg, and then left hand on hip, right arm reaches up. Again, Tom Cruise it. So reach up, reach down, let the left ear trickle to the left, maybe walk the left hand down to the block or to the left shin. And again, you lightly push, if you're holding onto your shin, your left hand into your left shin and roll the rib cage under, and then maybe you extend the right arm along the right ears. And it just really intensifies what you're feeling all along the side body. Great. Next in breath, let's gently come out of this. Hands to hips, bend your front knee, step the foot in, whoops, and sit yourself back for a moment. Okay. I had 2 more things I wanted us to try. How are we feeling? We're okay? Okay. Cool. So let's go ahead and come down to forearms and knees. Forearms and knees. There we go. Okay, and some of you may choose to take a number 11 with your forearms. Some of you might want to take the prayer position. I personally prefer the prayer, but that's up to me, or that's up to you rather. So you do what works best for you. And then you're going to step your right foot back and your left foot back. And suddenly we're in that forearm plank. Aren't we happy? Now, again, take those little circles that we did in plank and that we did in hands and knees, and you go both directions. And after you've gone both directions an equal number of times, you'll go ahead and come to stillness. And then you're going to walk your feet towards your face and find yourself in dolphin pose. And because we did all that stuff on their shoulders, hopefully you feel pretty stable here. Oh, it's really nice there, Roberta. Good job, Julie. And you just keep pushing down through your forearms. You feel the connection of your shoulder blades onto your back. And then you find your pubic bone reaching up and back to where the wall and the ceiling meet. And you stay as long as you'd like. And then when you're ready to come down, you find yourself in child's pose. And you just notice what you notice. And when you find yourself in child's pose, I do encourage you to play with where you put your arms. Do you want your arms back behind you? Do you want your arms in a little diamond shape in front of you? Do you want them just like really active? Do you want them loose? Do you want them in your stomach? Like, what do you want with your arms? But just take a moment to pause and breathe. And then take a moment to pause and breathe. I do genuinely believe that all of us have impulses that we receive every day from our body. I mean, technically, scientifically, that's true. But the thing is, what keeps us from listening to them? What keeps us from honoring that intuition, that knowledge that doesn't always make logical sense? How can we give ourselves permission to sometimes be what would be deemed illogical in order to be in alignment, in order to find ease, to find joy? So, as you're here for these last couple of breaths, I want you to just notice what your body is telling you. And then when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and slowly come up to sit. And I want you to sit in Vajrasana once again. So you're just going to sit on your shins and just take a moment to really root down through your sit bones. See if you can feel that connection into your heels, lift up through the crown. Maybe soften the gaze or close the eyes. Okay. Great. And then you'll go ahead and open your eyes. And we're going to take what's called saddle in yin. So you're going to open your knees just a little bit. It's kind of like Virasana, but a little bit different. So your knees are a little bit wider. Hands are going to come back behind you. You're going to lift your butt up. You're going to slide your tailbone under, and then maybe lower your forearms down onto the mat. So our legs are wider than we normally would be in hero's pose, and you'll just push down through the elbows. You'll draw the shoulder blades onto the back. You'll reach the heart up. Maybe let the head trickle back to the floor. Just feel what that feels like. Great. Gently, you're going to come out of this shape. So probably chin to chest is the best way to come out. Then bring your hands to the floor, push the floor away, and bring yourself up to sit. Great. Bring your butt to the floor and swing your legs around in front of you. And then you'll all will turn around and make your way onto your backs. Hopefully your blocks are still towards the upper outer corners of your space. Hopefully your blanket is still somewhere to the side, and you'll make your way onto your back. And the first thing that you'll do when you find yourself on your back is just be on your back. What does it feel like to allow your whole body weight to just drop into the floor? Notice what that feels like. And then we'll go ahead and bend both knees and plant both feet on the floor. And you'll open your arms out into about a T-shape position. Now, this is going to depend upon how it feels in your body. Some of you are going to walk your feet wider than hip distance apart. And you're going to slowly let the legs windshield wiper to one direction or the other. Some of you may find that you want to hang out on one side and take a couple of breaths before you switch directions. So again, you're just checking in. It seems like we're looking for what it's sometimes called a whole body yes, something that just feels like, oh, yes, I want to go towards that. It's an ease. And so you're just noticing what that feels like in your body by just giving yourself permission to listen to your body. Great. We've got about another 3 or 4 breath cycles here. So find a sense of balance between your right and left side, and then come back to center when you are balanced. No rush. Take your time. Got the breaths. Cool. Once you're back to center, let's go ahead and plant our feet hip distance apart. Walk your heels in close to your hips. Bring your hands alongside your hips. Great. From here, I want you to externally rotate the shoulder blades. So really push the backs of the arms, the shoulder blades into the floor, push down through the feet, lift the hips up towards the sky. Some of you will grab onto the outer edges of your mat at this point and pull the mat apart. Some of you might just keep the arms really long, like when we were compressing space, and just karate chop your pinky finger down into the mat and then walk the shoulder blades together on the back a little bit more. And some of you might interlace the hands. We haven't actually interlaced the hands at all during our practice today, so just notice how that feels for you. And then again, you're going to press into the feet. What does that feel like? If you really root down into your big toe mound, the inner edges of the thighs. Great. We've got 2 more breath cycles here. And then gently, you'll release the hands, you'll untuck the shoulders, and you'll bring your pelvis back down to the floor. Walk your feet outside of your hips, let your knees knock in towards each other, and just take a couple of breath cycles here. The arms can cross the body or just rest wherever is comfortable for them. But you just pause and you breathe. If you have one arm on top, switch whichever arm is on top. Great. From here, let's walk our feet hip distance apart. Draw your right knee into your chest, interlace your hands at the back of the right thigh, and then send your right foot up towards the sky. Extend your left leg long on the floor beneath you if that feels like that would be great for you. And you just take a couple of breaths here. Really press the thigh into your hands and really pull the hands into the thigh. We're trying to find that straight leg, but find the engagement of the back of the leg muscles as you're doing this. Awesome. Okay. So some of you still have your leg bent. So if your left knee is bent, stay there. You'll just let your left knee flop to the left as we open the right leg to the right. There we go. And then the rest of us are going to open our right leg to the right. So you're going to externally rotate your right leg and then maybe use your left arm for counterbalance by extending it to the left. But then you'll let the right leg open to the right, looking for a stretch across the inside edge of your right leg. And it's totally okay to hold that right leg. I really hold mine the whole time because it feels really nice. And then just turn your belly towards the left so that you're actually externally rotating from the thigh bone. Great. Next in breath, bring the leg back up to center. As you exhale, bend the knee, plant the foot on the floor, and then take a moment to have both legs long and just notice if you notice anything between the sides. Notice if one leg feels like it's longer and flatter in the front, maybe heavier in the back, maybe more open and easeful in the hip socket. And then when you're ready, you'll try the other side. So you might start by bending both of your knees and then draw your left knee into your chest. Interlace your hands at the back of your left thigh. Reach the left foot towards the sky and extend the right leg long beneath you. And again, you just take a couple of moments here. Really press the whole back of the left thigh into your hands as you pull the left or the hands into the back of the left thigh. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice if you can press up a little bit more through your big toe mound side. There we go. Keeping that inside edge of the foot active. Okay. And then when you're ready, we'll try the external rotation of that left leg. So if the right knee is bent, let the right leg just flop over to the right. Otherwise, you're going to externally rotate the left leg, let the left toes point towards the left. The right arm might go towards the right for counterbalance. And you can really use your left hand to help. So sometimes, like to control it so it doesn't descend too much, my hand is pushing against the thigh. And then I can externally rotate the leg a little bit more, and then I can turn my belly to the right, and then it allows the sacrum to be happy while finding the inner stretch of the adductors. Yeah, that looks good, guys and gals. And when you're ready, come back up through center, hug the knee into the chest. Take a moment to then release the leg long and just explore, notice what you notice between your right side and your left side. And as we're in this final shape, I encourage you to check in with your physical form and see if there's anything else it feels like it needs before we go to Shavasana. You might be straight up ready to go to Shavasana. If that's your jam, by all means, make your jam or eat your jam. If you need something else, by all means, try that. But we're going to take this as an opportunity to practice the skill of really trusting ourselves. I'm sure that you guys can probably speak to this more than I can, but it seems that that is one of the gifts of getting older, is that you do start to learn what makes you tick a little bit more clearly. And you start to embrace and acknowledge and love and cherish those parts of yourselves. And so as you're settling in, I do invite you to just notice how you can make your body feel a little bit more cherished, a little bit more nurtured. Maybe it's through the support of props. Maybe you put clothing on. Maybe you covered your eyes. Whatever you're doing, you just want to continue to fall into that sense of knowing, which I guess in many respects comes from unwinding, letting go, relinquishing things that we might have learned and might have served us at some point in time, but no longer needed. And then for our practice today, we're going to try to integrate a little bit of pranayama. So the next time you inhale, I want you to take a deep inhale and breathe all the way down to your pelvis, maybe even to your legs. And then as you exhale, let the breath just ride back up the spine. So again, as you inhale, you take a deep breath in from the crown of the head all the way down to the pelvis, maybe to the legs. And then you exhale and the breath comes back up. And as you continue to breathe down the spine as you breathe in and up the spine as you breathe out, we'll start to notice if we can extend the breath just a little bit. So perhaps you inhale for a count of 4, and then you exhale for a count of 4. And again, you're just inhaling down the spine, perhaps for a count of 4, and exhaling up the spine, perhaps for a count of 4. As you continue to breathe in this manner, you might find that there is a natural pause that happens at the beginning of the exhalation and the beginning of the inhalation. Another way to say that is that the pause happens in the transition. And so you might stay there. Or maybe you inhale down the spine for 4 and you hold the breath. And then you exhale up the spine and you hold the breath. And you'll continue like this on your own. And again, hold is, it's not a gripping, clenching, it's just like a suspension. You notice that the breath just lingers there a little bit longer. And I'll just leave you here with your breath. Again, inhaling down the spine, perhaps for a count of 4, maybe suspending the breath for a beat or 2, and then exhaling up the spine, perhaps for a count of 4, maybe suspending the breath for a beat or 2. And at any time you notice that your mind has wandered, simply notice that and gently come back to the feeling of your breath moving up and down your spine. And I'll leave you here with you for a couple more minutes, a couple more breaths. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in the shape, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to move on, you'll gently allow movement to re-enter into your physical form. And then start to make your way to one of your sides. Those on your back, stay as long as you'd like. Those on your side, you'll slowly start to make your way up to a tall and vertical seat. When you are vertical, I do encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block or a blanket, and then see if you can sit really super tall. So if you need to remove flesh from sit bones, do that. If you need to circle the shoulders, do that. But feel what it feels like to feel your shoulders in line with your hips. So if we sit at a computer a lot, we might be rounding forward, so shift back. Notice what it feels like to stack your ears over your shoulders. And then relax any tension around your mouth, your jaw, your eyes. And then bring one hand to rest on heart, one hand to rest on abdomen. We'll just take a couple of breaths here. As you're here for these last few breaths, I just invite you to notice how you can set the intention to check in with your body and ask it what it's needing from you on a moment to moment basis. Maybe it's just a deeper breath. Maybe it's to rest. Maybe it's to stretch or to challenge yourself, but whatever it's asking for, how can we remind ourselves that it takes great courage to listen and honor that, which sometimes doesn't always make sense? We'll complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum, and then lift your sternum back into your thumbs. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the knowing within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, and the knowing within each of you. Namaste.